what I just want to pick up on quickly before we go down that road is when you were talking about the feelings of shame, can you speak to that a bit more? What did that look like and what did that feel like? And the reason I ask is because I know that there are so many people listening to this
Mm.
podcast who suffer with those feelings of shame. And it's one of the things that I feel the most upset about
Yeah,
because
me too.
yeah. And I know what that feels like, but I can truly say that I'm just not there anymore. Like I'm just over it. I've let it go. But there are so many women out there who haven't been able to let it go. And that to me is just it's heartbreaking and it's not okay, and it's something that we need to talk about more, to bring it out into the open, to help these other women to shed those feelings of shame, because my god, they fucking weigh us down. And also, I said this before on the podcast multiple times, it is not okay that women feel shame and are walking around their lives with shame about themselves for no other reason than they're single and they don't have kids. It's just wrong. So let me ask you, what did that shame look like to you, for you rather, and how did it feel? And what did you then, and then we can sort of go into your journey of how you started to be able to let that go.
Yeah, no, I feel as strongly as you about it, Lucy,
Yeah.
because we're not we're here once and we need to make the most of our life. And I've always felt upset with the injustice that women have felt in past generations and even now in this generation in lots of places around the world. And I work with a lot of sick people, disabled children, and that's a reminder of, I'm healthy and I need to be living my best life. And that shame, just because of my relationship status or whether I had children or not, I was letting it pull me down. I had to go deep, and I needed some professional support around it because it was ruining my life. It was holding me back. It was making me have negative vibration. Now I've learned about vibration. It was making me feel a little bit probably bitter, victim mode. And nobody wants to go through life feeling these negative feelings. And I have to say, if anybody is feeling like that now, I'm telling you now, I've done a 360.
Yeah,
I can do it, you can do it, but you've got to invest in yourself and you've got to do the work.
completely.
And now, oh my God, I am so happy that I haven't had children. I'm so happy that I feel confident that if I ever do find somebody and I have a relationship with him, but for whatever reason it doesn't work, which happens often, that I go back to my life as it is now. And that means that I'm going to be less likely to settle for somebody. I'm always going to pick what's best for me in my life. I just feel like a better person. I do, completely, from doing this work.
Yeah. Now, speaking of this work, this is something that obviously I talk a lot about on the podcast. We talk a lot about in the membership. And for any women out there who are wanting to do it but aren't quite clear on where to start or what to do or how to do it or what it actually is and what it looks like, I really want to hear your story, Linz, of how you obviously found Sam as a coach,
Mm.
but then between you and her, like what did that look like for you? What did you start doing to to sort of basically let all of this shit go? Because ultimately, to me, part of the work, well, a big part of the work is it's shedding those layers. It's shedding the stuff that is holding us back, and that includes things like shame and embarrassment and all of the thoughts of unworthiness we have because we're single and we don't have kids. So I want to know from you what that looked like and continues to look like.
I think when I started with Sam, I think maybe, everybody will bring something to each life coach about what's going on in their life that's not serving them. And I think I might well have been one of the first women to come with this problem. And I think what was amazing is Sam helped me understand the human mind. And obviously she brought the spirituality aspect into it because I've always been quite spiritual anyway. So I could really jump on board with that. But even if you can't, it doesn't matter. If you're not spiritual, you're not woo-woo, you still do the work. Um, and she helped me understand what the subconscious is and the conscious. And she helped me understand the multifaceted elements that can condition you. So kind of society, media, parents, culture, society, you know, all that stuff. And we started writing down my beliefs that didn't serve me.
What were they?
Um, so we wrote down. So I had one thought where there was a couple of girls that lived upstairs. One was in their 20s, one was in her 30s, and I had this feeling that they'd be looking at me, going, "Oh gosh, look at Lindsey. I hope I'm not going to be like Lindsey in her 40s, single with no children." Um, you know, kind of. So we'd write down these beliefs, really. I suppose beliefs and thoughts. So they're thoughts because you've got the beliefs, and it's like, well, where do the beliefs come from? So we
Or their
unpicked
beliefs
where the
because you've
beliefs.
thought the thought so many, you've their beliefs
Yeah,
because you've thought the thought over and over again, which is what's
yeah.
made it become a belief.
Yeah. And so it's kind of unpicking these negative thoughts and beliefs that you've got about you and your worth and your place in society and your life. And we wrote them down, and then Sam helped me flick the script on them. But
How?
not just flick the script. We laminated them. We had the thought and the belief, and then she flicked the script on it. And then it was like, okay, keep reading that and keep looking at it. But what I'm an analysis person, and I had to go deeper and say, why is that thought in my brain anyway? Where's it come from? And that's where I unpicked the generational stuff, the subconscious biases that a lot of people have, the media portrayal of single women, my own upbringing, being brought up in a northern working class family, everyone around me married with kids. And it's really funny because when I was about 13, 14 at home, I remember sat on the windowsill looking out, and I remember it as clear as anything, thinking, I don't want a life like everybody else here. I want adventure. I want something different. I don't want to get married and have children and go to work and have a monotonous job. See, the monotony is coming in here, and do what everyone else is doing.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that weird? So, and my auntie said that when I was 3, 4 year old, I did say I'm not having children.
So interesting.
It's really weird, but I always thought I potentially would have had a child, but I was meeting somebody was more important to me. But I literally remember looking around and going, nah, this isn't for me. I'm not saying better, because everybody lives any life they want to live, but I wanted something different.
Yet still, those beliefs that were your
Yes.
subconscious beliefs, even though consciously you knew that you wanted something different, subconsciously you were still telling yourself that the right thing to do was to get married and have kids, and that was making you feel shit. Even though when you were 13, 14, sitting on the
Yeah.
windowsill at home, you literally thought to yourself, that's not what I want. So, so interesting.
So
Carry on,
interesting.
sorry.
No, you're fine. And so we wrote down, and obviously there's lots of practices around affirmations and vision statements and vision boards. And Lisa John obviously came in and helped with bits and pieces around that because she'd done a lot of that work. And it took, I'll tell you now, it doesn't happen overnight. It
No.
really doesn't. And I did find I had to analyze everything. I had to go deep to know, well, where did these thoughts and beliefs that I've got that I think are true come from? I had
Mm.
to really go back and dig deep to that. And that helped me get out of the victim mode, the comparison mode, the negative view and lens and perception of my life and who I am. And we started in the October, and I remember in the February we went skiing, my friend and I found myself, as typical, with a big group of people, predominantly men, and everyone going. They were all married, all had children, and it's hard because you always find yourself in a minority group. And they asked me about myself, and I came back from that holiday, and I said to Sam, I said, I really struggle to feel 100% at ease at saying, and not it's like not being embarrassed by, oh yeah, no, I'm single, I don't have children, I'm not married. And even then, we started in the October and this is in the February, and I'm still not there at this point. It's a
Yeah.
long piece of work.
It is.
And she wrote down from it, right, well, when people ask you in the future, how do you say it in a way that serves you and don't put you. I felt a bit like, oh God, here we go, the question's going to come at me, and then what? And it's more about what they're thinking, I think, of me, and that was what upsets me the most. Sam and I did a lot of digging on the internet as well, and that's where I came across Jodie Day.
Oh, yeah.
and I bought her book, Living the Life Unexpected, and I started reading a book. I've got it upstairs, and probably maybe 3 chapters in, there's a quiz that you do about how it affects you about not having children, and you score 1 to 10. And when I looked through the 40 questions, the ones that I'd scored really affects me was people's perception of me.
Right.
Not that I'd not had children, it was people's
Right.
perceptions of me. So that was really interesting.
So interesting. That is so interesting.